A burst pipe? A dead water heater? The AC calling it quits? Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price. Void in Florida.
Quick question. If somebody were to ask you, what are the 3 things you're rubbish at? What are the 3 greatest weaknesses? I think you'd probably give it some thought and answer quite easily. Now, if I asked you what your 3 greatest character strengths are, for a lot of people, that question's harder. We hesitate, we qualify. Particularly in the UK, we worry about sounding a little bit arrogant. We name things we think sound good rather than what are actually true. But actually, your character strengths aren't just a nice to know. They're one of the most important things that you can identify when you're designing the next chapter of your life. Because they're not just what you're good at, they're what energizes you. They're what you'll do naturally. It's what gives you a sense of flow rather than effort. The good news is there's a free, validated, scientifically rigorous assessment you can take today. And in this video, I want to share what that is and share how you can use the data you get from it to build the best next chapter of your life. Welcome to What Happens Next. Welcome to What Happens Next, the channel dedicated to exploring what change in our 50s and 60s that used to be called retirement looks like for us now. Now, the reason I don't call it retirement on any of my videos is because often when we're thinking about the next chapter of our lives, stopping and doing nothing is not the model we want to build. We want to build this multi-dimensional life. And it's one of the subjects that I talk about in the What Happens Next book that's out now. Now, you can get a copy of this book on Amazon using either the link below, or if you're watching this on your phone on a screen, just simply take a photo of this QR code, follow the link that it gives you, and it will take you directly to the book. But today, I want to talk about values and why identifying your own values is a really good way of working out what you want to spend your time doing in the next chapter of your life. There's a great tool, free tool that you can use to do that. It's called the Values in Action Survey, and it was developed by the psychologists Martin Seligman and Christopher Peterson at the University of Pennsylvania as part of the positive psychology movement. Now, if you know anything about positive psychology, you'll know Martin Seligman is the father of positive psychology. And one of my recommendations, out of my many book recommendations that I make, is Martin Seligman's book, Flourish. It's a brilliant read full of incredibly useful resources to help you think using a positive psychology framework about the next chapter of your life. Now, what the research team behind the Values in Action survey identified was 24 character strengths that appear consistently across different cultures and throughout human history. They're values like curiosity, kindness, honesty, leadership, creativity, love of learning, humour, gratitude, and so on. Now, these aren't personality quirks. They're deep, stable characteristics that define how we most naturally engage with the world. Now, the survey, when you take it for free on the Values in Action Survey website, identifies the ones that are most authentically and energetically yours. And there's a bunch of research on what happens when we're really clear on what our signature strengths are, and it's genuinely compelling. Because a study published in 2024 examining the people who have identified what their character strengths are found that people who are really aware of what they're strong at had higher life satisfaction, stronger sense of purpose, and greater well-being. but it requires two things. It requires, number one, for you to identify your strengths using the survey. And number two, we're on a mission with What Happens Next to help as many people as we can navigate the next chapter of their life. So I need a favour. I'd like you to visit our YouTube channel at What Happens Next Life, and we'll make sure we put a link to the YouTube channel in the comments. Enjoy the videos, like the ones that you get benefit from, but most importantly, please subscribe. We want to help as many people as we can with What Happens Next, and subscribing to our YouTube channel for free is the easiest way you can help us. To actively use those strengths by taking action using the things you know you're good at, day by day by day. Now, I took the survey a few years ago, and my top 3 strengths which came out was a love of learning, social intelligence, and apparently, and don't hold me to this, humour. I mean, if you know my terrible dad jokes, you might have to question that. But jokes aside, seeing those things named was genuinely useful. Not because it told me anything new, really, but because it gave me permission to take those qualities and actually build the time I spend doing what I love around those genuine strengths. So there's only one action to take today. Take the survey. It takes 15 minutes. It's completely free at www.viacharacter.org and get your results. It'll give you a ranked list of 24 strengths with top 5 or so highlighted as your signature strengths. But then you might say, now what? Firstly, question the strengths. Do they ring true? Read your top 5 strengths and ask yourself honestly, does this feel like me? Not what I think I should be, but the person I actually am. Question number 2 is to think about when you last used those strengths. Think back, when did you actively use those strengths in your life? Not accidentally, not as part of a day-to-day routine, but deliberately, with satisfaction. For people in their 50s and 60s, the honest answer is sometimes, I used to use these strengths all the time, but I don't anymore. And the gap between your signature strengths and how you're actually spending your time is often where that sense of dissatisfaction can come from. And question 3 is, where could you use your strengths more? The third question is the practical one. It looks at, in terms of your top 3 strengths, where you could spend more time leaning into those strengths. If curiosity and love of learning are in those top strengths, you might want to join the University of the Third Age or do an online course. If kindness and social intelligence are in those strengths, could you do more volunteering, community work? Could you give something back? If creativity is a top strength, where are you building something new or creating something special? Now, knowing those strengths and then deliberately taking action might be one step forward towards a life that's genuinely flourishing. And today I want to leave you with a question that I find really interesting. If you've taken the Values in Action survey, or you've already got a sense of what your top character strengths are, when did you last design a week where those strengths were regularly leaned into and expressed? Not occasionally, not by accident, deliberately, intentionally, in a way where you could see those strengths in action because of decisions you've made. Because I think for a lot of people at this stage of life, the gap between knowing your strengths and actually building a life where you get to use those strengths is where a lot of work needs to be done. Because the answer isn't hidden in the future. The answer you already know. And the Values in Action survey can act, at one tool out of many others, as a mirror to what you actually want to do. Hopefully that's useful. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on the channel soon. Part of the issue we've got when we're thinking about what happens next in our lives is having the self-awareness, having the introspection to be able to think about what the gaps in our well-being are. And we're doing loads of work at the minute with What Happens Next to build solutions that are going to help you think about well-being in a nuanced way when you're thinking about how it applies to your life. One of the first things we've built that you can use today is our What Happens Next quiz. It's free to do, takes about 5 minutes, but what it will do is give you an insight into the areas of strengths when it comes to your well-being and the areas you might want to improve. You can take the What Happens Next quiz at whathappensnext.life/quiz, and I hope it helps you in your journey to work out what happens next for you.